are now live. And I am also blind. Glasses. We're telling more followers to join your video. So sleepy. Wake me up when they get here. At Instagram. What are you? Instagram? Yeah. I wonder if I need headphones? Maybe? Where are my headphones? That's a good question. Nope, not in there. Nope. Alright. I don't know where my headphones are. Oh, they're behind the thing. Alright. That works. Should I play some intro music while we wait for people? Talk to myself for 5 minutes? I feel like I have to do a warm-up, like it's one of my classes. What's a warm-up question we can all talk about? It is 4 o'clock, right? Yeah, okay. I always have reoccurring dreams that I do things at the wrong time. Like I go on vacation one day early. I have that reoccurring nightmare. Or I don't check out of the hotel on time and I have to pay an extra day. I have those kind of dreams. Am I the only one? Probably. So, I'm just going to sip this awkwardly until someone shows up. Oh, there's one. Wave. Hey, Caleb. How's it going? Hey, D. Long time no see. Can you hear me? I always get scared that no one can hear me on this thing. Oh, it's so sunny today. I want to go out and play, but I have to study. Pretty good, busy in San Diego. Ah, San Diego. San Diego is my favorite city in the world. Korea is my favorite country, but San Diego is definitely the best city. Oh, we have one more. Wave. Hello. What are you doing in San Diego, Caleb? Hello, Ananya? Chatterjee. I like that. Chatterjee. I feel like I should play music in the background. I don't know how copyright feels about that, though. Been here since 2017, just doing life, really. Sounds good. So, oh, hey Ryan. So, I moved to Korea in 2017 and you moved to San Diego. That's kind of funny considering I moved from Southern California to Tennessee in 2014, and then I moved to Korea. So you moved to my hometown, basically. Oh, I miss California. In some ways, I miss the food. I miss the farmers markets. I miss strawberries that don't cost $10. Fruit is expensive. Yeah, fruit is expensive in Korea. Extremely expensive. If I want like a melon, like a cantaloupe, it's like $12. And it's not even good, to be honest. It's not bad. I moved from Korea to Tennessee. You're kidding, right? That's a joke, right? Are you joking? Yeah, you have to be joking. Or I don't know. I know some people who lived in... Okay, yeah, you are joking. Yeah. I'm too tired. But... Oh, thanks for the watermelon, Ryan. Spring is coming. Spring is coming. Lots of fun foods in spring. Oh, right now I have this butterscotch latte, and I think I've talked about it before. I might have had it on my last live stream, actually. It's just butterscotch and coffee, and I'm not supposed to drink coffee. Don't tell my doctor. But I forgot how much I suck at studying and how much I hate it. And my brain is fried. Just fried. So, I don't know how students do it. I'm a teacher, but I don't know how students do it. I was a terrible student. I never studied anything. Anything with repetition I hate. So, I don't do studying well. I don't do memorizing well. That's why my Korean is so bad. My Korean is so bad because I hate repetition. I can't memorize anything. So for some reason I became an English teacher. Doesn't take much to fry mine too. Yeah. Some things, man. Like, I have 2 classes right now for my master's degree. One of them is Intro to Spiritual Theology, and it's really not too terrible. It's, I don't want to say boring, but it is kind of not as deep as I want it to be, because everyone there is all like, yay, let's like learn about Jesus, and let's be like optimistic about ministry. And I'm like, cool, I'm here to learn about the dark, angsty parts of the human soul. So, it's a little not quite meeting in the middle there. But, and then my other class is metaphysics, and it feels more like a physics class than a metaphysics class. Because metaphysics is supposed to be like, you know, what is a llama? And how do you prove that a llama is real? So I figured it was going to be like kind of abstract thoughts and theories and things like that. But it just turned into like actual like math problems. Like if A and B have the same properties, then A is equal to B. And I just shut down automatically because no. No math equations. Board, let's see, I have to give my board certified examinations in May. Oh, that doesn't sound fun. That sounds like a lot of studying. I work at a school too and get cognitively wrecked daily. Yeah. My school isn't too bad. I enjoy my students a lot. I enjoy spending time with them. They're really fun to talk to. Whoa, that's too much. So, I think it's more fun with my students because I know what their goals are. So, I can help them meet those goals with their English. That's more fun for me. I've been teaching almost 3.5 years now, almost 4. It's a long time. It's a very long time. I enjoy it though. I didn't think I would like teaching as much as I do. I tried really hard not to be a teacher. Really, really hard. I tried really hard not to go to college too. You aspired to be a teacher. Good for you. We need good teachers. I had a lot of really good teachers and I had a lot of really bad teachers. But I appreciate the bad teachers as much as I appreciate the good teachers because now I know what kind of teacher I don't want to be. Are you making time for your creative side? Oh, I'm making time for it, but the energy level is so low. I miss my stories so much. Like, I was actually thinking yesterday that I want to quit school and just go back to writing. And it's terrible because it's only been 6 weeks. Like, I shouldn't want to quit early, but I decided just to take a nap instead. I just took a nap and played some video games, and I was okay. But, yeah, talking about creative side, I have, 11 days? 11 days until this book comes out for the public. I'm excited. Book number 2. Book number 2. If you're wondering, all of these green marks are things I have to fix before. Oh, I miss you guys too. I miss you on Wattpad. Yeah, I am still writing. I actually have something loaded up. It's almost ready to go, but it hasn't been posted yet because I have midterms. But if you're wondering, I never finished my sentence. These are all the mistakes I have to fix before I publish. So this weekend I have to fix all of these things. It's mostly just like commas. If you notice, like, it gets worse the farther back you go, because that's how tired I got, is like in the front, like punctuation, great. Page, 350, punctuation, not so great. So, and then there's some weird indenting problems and things like that. So I got to fix those. And then I have to re-upload the files for printing this weekend. So that's not exciting, but necessary as a writer. I did want to talk about my first year as a writer, and a lot of the things that I learned this year becoming a writer. What's with the lighting? Stop that. I actually started to make a video about this to put on YouTube, but my phone is just not the best for editing. So, but I did take some notes. So this has been a really productive year, I think. Because my first book, it's around here somewhere. My first book, The Five Princes, came out last year, February. So right before coronavirus hit. Daegu, actually. Because Daegu was the first city to get hit after China. So, with coronavirus. And so, once it hit, they had us stay home a lot from the school. And I wrote 2 books. So, one of them was this one. I pretty much finished and edited and all of that. Got this one ready for print. And then I wrote the entire rough draft to The Beast of Napa, which is a story I'm going to print after the 3rd book. So this is the 2nd book. The Five Princes is the 1st book. This one is the 2nd book. The quarantine sucks. Yeah, but I mean, I did write a lot of books. So, and I think I read like 40 books last year. 30 or 40. I read a lot because I had so much time. So that was great for creative me. The first book, Five Princes, 2nd book, The Rebellion, 3rd book will be Gods of the Sea, and then I'm going to go and do a different style of book. So this series I came up with because my major was video game design. And so I get a lot of my story ideas from video games. And when I was playing a video game, I was thinking to myself, man, I wish that books had kind of like a replay value. Because video games have a replay value. You can go back and play again, and there's something new. So I wanted to create like a book series that had the same replay value as a video game. And so that's why I came up with this, where it has multiple endings, and then it has the His Point of View series in the back, so you can see the other parts of the story from other characters, so you can kind of solve whatever mysteries of the plot that you didn't know before. And then you can also you can go back and find new things every time you read. So I wanted to create something with that. And then I like things that you can interact with, so that's why I have the create your own ending in the back. You can write your own ending. All 3 books have that, or the 3rd book will have that. And then I'm working on, like, I wrote the rough draft to Beast of Napa, which is basically a cross of Beauty and the Beast and The Great Gatsby. I actually got inspired for that book by listening to The Great Gatsby soundtrack, and that one's more philosophical. So I wanted to do more philosophical, kind of classical writing. That was my original... Actually, my original interest was writing fantasy books, because my favorite author is Lloyd Alexander, and he writes children's fantasy books. But turns out I actually really like writing romance, much more. And actually, funny story. So the reason I wrote The Five Princes is because when I was writing my first book, it was called Double-Edged Magic. And it was about a castle magician who was framed for black magic. And it wasn't a bad story. It's not that good, but it wasn't bad. And so I had some beta readers read it. And one of them was my boss's son. And he was about 12 years old at the time. And he wrote me back and he said, I really like this book, but I just didn't feel any like connection between the romantic characters. So he basically told me, like, you suck writing romance, was basically what he said. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to have to practice that. So I decided to practice it on Wattpad. And so I decided to practice writing romance and see if I could get better. And it turns out I'm actually pretty good at it, I think. I was surprised. I was very surprised. And then I actually enjoyed it more. So I wrote The Five Princes because a 12-year-old boy told me my romance writing sucked. So I fell in love with your writing by discovering you on Wattpad. Oh, thank you so much. I was doing Wattpad as a total experiment. I wasn't planning on sticking around. Like, my entire thought was, I'm just going to try to write something on here and see if it works and see if people respond to it. And I just kept writing I just tried to write a chapter a week or a chapter every 2 weeks or something like that. Like, it wasn't a real commitment. And now I have almost 8,000 followers. So I guess I don't totally suck. Let's see. Absolutely amazing at writing romance. Aw, you're so sweet. Thank you. Thank you. I try. I like romance writing a lot. I like chemistry between characters. I feel like a lot of romance writing is so flat. It's just so flat. And romance is a place where you can explore the different sides of humanity in a way that you can't explore with other types of relationships. Let's see, was there a video game that added to your creative influence? That's a good question. Each book has a different video game influence, actually. The Five Princes was influenced by a B-rated, like a not popular Nintendo DS game. The Rebellion was inspired by a mobile game, like one of those interactive novel type stories. I would love to make a game like that someday. I have a bachelor's degree in video game design. I should be able to create something like that. And then Gods of the Sea, book number 3 in this series, is actually inspired by Sid Meier's Pirates, which is my favorite video game, because I love pirates. Music also inspires a lot of my books. Like I said, The Beast of Napa, which will be my 4th book that I publish, hopefully, that was inspired by the Great Gatsby soundtrack, especially by Your Heart's a Mess. I forget who the singer is, but I was just thinking I was listening to that song and thinking about a scene, and thinking about, like, if I was the singer singing to one of my characters, what would his heart look like if it was a mess? And so I came up with The Beast of Napa. And I'm really excited about that one. But I haven't had any time to edit it. But I have the rough draft sitting, and it's ready. So, let's see. I feel like sometimes writers rush into relationships, but your books actually tap into their emotions, which makes it more interesting. I tried reading romance books. Partly for research, and partly just out of curiosity. Most of them are very rushed. Some of them, like, start out strong and then just kind of fade out. I feel like if you're going to write romance and you're going to write chemistry, it should be more than just about people falling in love. Like, it should be... See ya, Caleb. Hello, Redo Pixie. It should also be about how people change when they fall in love. So there's a phrase I really love. I can't remember who said it or where I got it from, but it's talking about when a woman is in love, she actually really blossoms. So you don't know who a woman really is until you've seen her in love. And I feel like that goes for the same with men, too. Because men who fall in love really step up. And so I feel like people really show who they truly are when they fall in love. And I don't see that a lot in books. I see a lot of stereotypes, like the cold-hearted billionaire. He's always a billionaire. You can't have a broke, main character. And you have to have a billionaire, and or some sort of powerful male specimen. And so you see that, and you see, like, oh, he's soft-hearted. He's cold, but he's soft-hearted, and I don't hate that. Like, I kind of like that because it's showing a kind of like a Pride and Prejudice thing, where it's an external expectation. And then you start to learn that people are more complicated than that. And so I like the idea of that, but I don't feel like anyone explores the actual depth of it. Alpha male, to be exact. Yeah, I do like alpha males. I think they're a good character, but they're just not dimensional. I see a lot of alpha male characters that just have the alpha male, and then all of a sudden they like kittens or something. Like, it's just really random. It's not really cohesive. It doesn't really go together well. I'm damaged. Yeah, that's kind of like the alpha male idea, Kevin. Just like, oh, I'm damaged. I need a woman to save me. Or something like that. If you read my books, you'll notice that I never have one side save the other. I have them try to save each other. So if you notice in my books, everyone apologizes. So the woman apologizes at some point, the man apologizes at some point. Except for one of my characters, because his personality just is not an apologetic type. So he doesn't apologize forwardly, he apologizes indirectly. But I tried to make it so that it's even, because everyone is broken. Everyone struggles. Everyone messes up in relationships. I suck at relationships. So I feel like there's always a point where you have to apologize. you mess up. And so, because two damaged people coming together, they're gonna butt heads. It's really hard. But there's so much, like, there's so much growth there. And that's such a beautiful part of a relationship, is meeting someone that helps you grow as a person. They don't become like your God, and you don't have to save them, and they don't have to save you, but they just kind of inspire you to grow. And so I want that in my stories. I want characters that aren't saved. I don't really like that idea that someone can save you. But I like the idea that someone can help you look at yourself like a mirror. Someone you love will turn into your mirror and turn into someone who makes you want to be better, just because you've looked at yourself and you want to be better. Not because they've made you better, but just because you want to be. It's like they forget who the characters are, they just change because they get bored. Yeah. Or it's kind of like this, like, mystical love, like, oh, I'm in love, so I've changed completely as a person, and I'll never be the same again. And I don't think love really works like that. I feel like whenever I've been in love, it's like I'm kind of inspired to try something new, and maybe I have a little more hope, and I have more strength. There's a quote. Loving someone gives you courage. I'm going to find it because it's my favorite quote, and I always forget it because I can't memorize anything. Here we go. Lao Tzu. He is I think he wrote Tao Te Ching. He's a Taoist. And he wrote, being deeply loved by someone gives you strength, while loving someone deeply gives you courage. So I've always loved that quote. I always quote it wrong, but I love that quote because I think when you do fall in love, you start feeling more courageous to try something, because someone's there supporting you. And then when you know that you're loved, you're not as scared to try it. So someone can help that person be a better person. Yeah. I feel like if you have someone who keeps you accountable and just, if you see someone, like if you have kids, you don't want to go down certain roads because you love your kids and you don't want to negatively impact them. And that's a part of love, I think. If you fall in love with someone, for marriage or boyfriend, girlfriend, anything like that, you don't want to do anything that would damage them or yourself, because that just ruins everything. So yeah, I try to keep as much depth in my romances as I can, because I feel like there's so much good storytelling in a good romance. Like Pride and Prejudice, I think, is one of the most influential romances, and a really good one, because it's about two people making mistakes and learning from their mistakes and growing as people, and then coming together and growing even further. And to be honest, I only read Pride and Prejudice because I wanted to read Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies. And I figured I wouldn't understand Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies if I didn't read the original. And actually, I played this game. It was on like Yahoo or Amazon or something like that. Someone had made a graphic novel, and it was all Jane Austen books. And so you were like one of Jane Austen's main female characters, like Elizabeth or whatever. And you could meet all the different characters in Jane Austen's books, all the male characters, so you could have like Darcy or any of the others, because they're not famous and I don't know their names. But you could kind of pick who you wanted to be with, but they used the same style writing as Jane Austen. So I thought that was really cool. And so I played through that game, and I was like, I really like this style of writing. So I picked up Pride and Prejudice, and I read it in like 3 days. I was really surprised. But to be fair, I only understood what was going on because I played the video game. So that helped, because I was like, oh yeah, this happens in the game. So, how is Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies? Well, the book is really good. I didn't see the movie. I kind of wanted to, but I am terrible at watching movies because I can't interact with a movie. So I don't watch movies very often. But the book was really good. I only got nauseous like twice. Zombies are not really my thing. I tried reading Abraham Lincoln Vampire Slayer, and I almost threw up in chapter 3. Like, it was so graphic. And so I couldn't finish that one. But Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies was okay. It was actually really funny. And I was in the library reading it, and I couldn't stop laughing out loud in the library, so I think I annoyed some people, but I enjoyed it. I recommend it. Talk to you later. Oh, nice talking to you too. Thanks for coming. So, yeah, you do need to read it. I need to see the movie. But have a nice day too. And, oh, I'm not gonna, Anya? I'm so sorry. Yeah, I know what it's like to have someone not pronounce your name right. So, my name is horrific. Deidre. The only way I get around in Korea is because my name sounds like slang, Korean slang. So, the Korean word for tired is bigone, bigoneo. And in Daegu, they say Dida. So my name is Deidre. Dida. So some of my students call me Dida, and it means tired. It means tired. So Korea knows me. Anya. Okay, Anya. All right, thank you. I'm so sorry. I get my students confused too. My students don't have difficult names, but they all have similar names. So I get them confused and I feel terrible. But they can't remember my name either, so we're kind of even. But yeah, so I feel like, oh, it's really hot. Hold on. I have my heater on, but I don't need it. Oh. No issues, it was an honor. Oh, I feel honored too. So, yeah, so 1 year of writing. I have learned so much in 1 year. I've learned that everything costs more than you think, and takes longer than you thought. So that's definitely a thing. But I feel like this first year has been kind of like an internship. Like I've just been experimenting. Everything's an experiment. Printing is an experiment. Marketing is an experiment. Engaging with your readers is an experiment. Everything is difficult. And you all have to play with it. So that's something I wasn't expecting, because I did a lot of research before I published, and it's just not the same. It's just not the same as actually doing it. And what else did I learn? Let's see. I learned that a lot of people like free stuff and will ask you for free stuff. Let's see. I made some notes. If I was going to tell new writers something for their first year as a writer, I would say first, give yourself lots of time. Give yourself lots of time. Even just writing the book. So I know a lot of writers post like, oh, I write like 3 books a year. Or like I said it earlier, I wrote 2 books last year. But that was only because of the pandemic. Like, if I had to work, that would have never happened. But some people write really, really quickly. And usually the people that write really quickly don't write books that have a lot of reread value. So if you write a book very quickly, people will probably read it once and then maybe never read it again. That's not, that's not a hard and fast rule, because Charles Dickens wrote A Christmas Carol in 3 weeks. So it's not true for everybody, but he wrote it. In 3 weeks because he had like a brilliant idea for A Christmas Carol, and then his publishing company said, no, we're not going to publish that. We're not interested in that story. So he said, okay, I'll publish it myself. And so Charles Dickens actually self-published A Christmas Carol. And so he wrote it in 3 weeks. And it's pretty short for a Charles Dickens book, if you notice, because Charles Dickens was paid by the word. And a lot of people in that time frame were paid by the word, which is why, like, in regular Charles Dickens books, he'll have like a page describing a windowsill. And it's not because he's trying to be poetic, although he might be, but it's because he got paid by the word. So he tried to make it longer. So if you notice, A Christmas Carol is pretty short for a Dickens book because he had 3 weeks to write it and he was paying for it himself. But it's also a classic, fantastic book. And so I think there's a movie about it, The Man Who Invented Christmas. Let me check. I can't remember if it was The Man Who Saved Christmas or The Man Who Invented Christmas. The Man Who Invented... Yeah, The Man Who Invented Christmas. Really, really good movie. And if I recommend a movie, I really recommend a movie, because I only watch 2 movies a year. And that's not an exaggeration. I watch 2 movies a year. And so my friend recommended that one. And it's the story of Charles Dickens writing A Christmas Carol. And he kind of seems insane throughout the entire movie, because his characters come to life and talk to him and wake him up in the middle of the night. And his characters show him like different parts of his past that he forgot. And I love it because that's what it's like to be a writer. Your characters do wake you up. They do talk to you, and you don't really see them, but they're a part of you. And they're everywhere with you. So I really like that movie because it shows you exactly what a writer's mind looks like. It's hectic. It's insane, kind of. Just those creative juices going all the time. Sometimes stories are born in dreams. Yes, I agree. Actually, I feel like all of my short stories that I've written, one of them I published, The Exchange, and it's on Amazon. It was the first thing I ever really published. That came from a dream that I had. And in the dream, the idea is you could take on someone's punishment for a crime. So if someone had been sentenced for a crime they committed, you could take on their punishment and free them if they were someone that you cared about or someone that you wanted not to be punished for their crimes. And so in the dream I had a dream that I was the main character and someone had saved my life, but they had also betrayed the country in order to save my life. So I decided to take on their punishment. And so I wrote that story based solely on the beginning scene, which was in my dream, which is where if you're a traitor, you just get you get put to sleep, kind of, like knocked out, and then you get thrown out of an airplane, and that's how they execute you. And so the beginning scene is that, in The Exchange. And then I kind of added some more twists in the story about how if you take someone's punishment, what happens to that person? Do they actually learn from it? How does it actually affect them? How did that main character feel knowing that they would be taking on that person's punishment? And it kind of shows the 2 different lives and how they live, one taking on someone else's punishment and another living without the punishment that they deserve. So that was the first story I published. It's on Amazon. It's pretty short. I think it's only like 8 pages or 9 pages, something like that, because I just wanted to explore the idea. The only complaints I got from editors was that it wasn't long enough. So I guess that's a pretty good thing. Soft flex. So yeah, another thing I learned from a year of writing is how to determine success. I've spent a lot of time thinking about success, because it's different for different people. Some people, when they start writing, they want to be famous or rich. In that case, I don't know why you're a writer, because that doesn't really happen very often. I feel like everyone thinks writers are all like J.K. Rowling or Stephen King, but that's really like 0.001%. And even me, I thought when I started I would somehow rocket into fame and success, but I have to earn that. I have to earn that. If we look up your name, will we find it? Yes, Deidre DeWitt. Deidre DeWitt is where you can find all of my stuff on Amazon, which is a grand total of 3 right now. But yeah, so when I first started my publishing, I decided to like track how many books I sold and how much money I made. And that's not a bad thing. I feel like you need to do that as a writer. You need to track how much you sell, especially if you're trying different marketing techniques. You'll want to track how certain marketing ideas affect your sales. So if I do an email marketing campaign, how much does my sales go up? If I do Amazon marketing, how much do my sales go up? So I feel like you should track that, but I don't feel like that should be your determiner for success, because you can't predict it and you can't control it in a sense. You can try to influence it, but you can't control the outcome. And so if your success is completely dependent on outcome, I feel like you'll always feel like a failure. At least I did anyways. And so I would say if you're going to track anything, you should track basically how much work you're putting in. So I would recommend tracking how many books you've read on marketing, or how many books you've read on writing, or how many hours you've spent writing, or something else with your input, not the outcome. I would recommend that instead. I think that's a better way to measure. There's the word I wanted. It's a better way to measure your success. And that way, if you are, I think another thing is if you're faithful with a little, you can be trusted with a lot. So if you suck taking care of 20 fans, you're going to suck with 2,000. There's no way around that. A bigger number doesn't make you a better writer. So taking care of the people you do have is probably the most important. And it'll grow eventually. But learn to be responsible and intimate with what you have now, is what I would say. That's what I would tell myself a year ago. If I could go back, I would definitely tell myself to just relax and just enjoy it and experiment. What else? What else would I tell you? I would say related to fame and success. I know like there's a lot of people that we look up to for fame and success that kind of feel like overnight successes. They're really not. There's no such thing as an overnight success, because that would assume that all people with talent were just born with it. And I've said this before and I'll say it again. Talent is not a real thing, at least not in the way that we say it is. Talent is the result of hard work over a long period of time. I think we confuse talent with gifts. Gifts is when you're just like born naturally awesome at something. And those are so rare and far and few between. But we don't know that because we have like America's Got Talent shows and things like that. So we feel like everyone is gifted except us, and everyone is talented except us. But really it's just they've been putting in the work for a lot longer. Or they're one of the few rare people that have been gifted by God for certain things. And God bless them that they're using it. So I chop overnight success with good marketing. Yes, that's true too. Marketing is really important. Yeah, you'll notice that creative people are usually not the marketers, because it's two totally different beasts. So that's why solo artists are usually broke, and marketers get all the money because they're good at their job. But I would say that the people that shot put into overnight success, which again is not really overnight success because you have to study and learn and all of those things, they're the exception to the rule. And just because you're not the exception to the rule doesn't mean you're not good. It just means you're not the exception to the rule. So, I mean, whatever your path is, you can't compare it to someone else's because it's not your path. It's not meant to be your path. You can't grow into the right person or the right artist on someone else's path. You have to follow your own path. That will make you the artist you're supposed to be. Yeah, those famous artists, they're not supposed to be you. You're not supposed to be them. And that's fine. We don't need copycat artists. It's not the point. The point is to make art that is authentically you, with your passions and interests and how you view the world put together. I think that's the most important. So that would be what I would say to writers who are starting out with their first year. Also, another thing is my first book that I published was The Five Princes. And I wrote maybe 7 books before I published The Five Princes. Maybe 6, something like that. I think The Five Princes was my 7th book. I feel like a lot of new writers feel like, oh, if I write this first book and it's done, I can just publish it. But truth is your first book is going to be trash. Like, it's just going to be ultimate trash. And that's fine. Just write the first book, because it's just an experiment. You're trying to figure out how characters work. You're trying to figure out how a story works. You're trying to figure out the different pieces, because, dear Lord, there's a lot of pieces in a story. Like, I always talk about music and how there's different pieces in music, because you have, like, you know, the tempo, and you have the melody, and you have the chords, and you have the storyline, and you have everything. Like, you have the theme, you have the undertones, you have the bass, you have the beats, you have all these different like pieces melting together, and that takes like a lifetime to learn, and it's only 3 minutes long to make a song. And so books are the same exact way. You have characters, you have plot, you have theme, you have setting, you have dialogue. Dialogue is an entire beast in and of itself. You have description, you have action, you have sentence structure and grammar. Like, it's so many things put together in order to create one piece, and it's not easy. I don't like it when people act like it's easy, or even think that it's easy. it takes a really long time to study, and it takes a really long time to practice, and it takes an even longer time to get right. And even after you get it right, you still mess up with plot holes and things like that. You still have to have other people point out your mistakes and things like that. So you can't, it's an ongoing process. It's kind of like just language in general. Like you can't master it. You can just only get better at it. Or you can change styles, things like that. But you can't become an ultimate master of it. There's always something else. And so when you write for the first time, it's completely overwhelming because it's just so many pieces. It's like a 10,000 piece puzzle, and everything's the same color. That's what it feels like when you're writing your first book. And so I would say write 3 books before you even try to publish, just because it takes that long to understand how all the pieces connect. And you can write short stories and things like that. That always helps. I always wrote a lot of scenes, just starting a new scene and how it would finish, and just trying to make everything work together. How do the characters work together? And I would just piece together scenes. So a book is really just a bunch of scenes put together and how you connect them together. So I used to write a lot of scenes. I used to write just all the time. I was a terrible student because I was just writing stories in the back of class. I wasn't paying attention. So every time I learned something really, really basic, I have to like text my friend and be like, did we learn this in school, or was I just like not paying attention? Because I don't know basic science and things like that. So science or math or history or anything. I only paid attention in English class. It was the only thing I was good at. It was the only thing I enjoyed, because it was a lot of abstract thought. I like abstract thought and metaphors and personifications and symbolism. And I feel like what most people won't tell you, hey, welcome back. I feel like most people won't tell you that a lot of writing is actually subconscious. So when I read my own writing, I realize that a lot of the pieces fit together in a way I hadn't planned. So like theme is one of those things. I read a lot of writing books that tell you, oh, think about your theme. Nobody knows what their theme is. And even if you start with a theme, it changes completely because your characters don't care about your feelings. Quite frankly, as a writer, your characters will be like, no, I'm doing this now, and it's better than your thoughts. So just sit back, lady, and let us do the theme. So my characters decide the theme for me, and a lot of foreshadowing I don't plan. It's just kind of subconscious. Things like some symbolism things I don't think about. I don't plan every single detail. I notice it later. Usually I just focus on what is my character doing, and what is my character's background, and what is the problem. Why can't my character do what they want to do? What is their obstacle? And so obstacle is usually the antagonist. It's usually the villain, you could say. I don't really have villains in my story. Not like take over the world type villains. In this book, there's not really a villain at all. It's just 3 different people with 3 different viewpoints, or 4 different people with 4 different viewpoints, who are all just bashing heads. And they are just clawing their way to meet their own goals. So I try to write more anti-heroes than heroes, because when you write a character, it should be a character that people can connect with. And I don't feel like anyone is born a hero. I feel like everyone is born an anti-hero, and they have to decide whether or not to become a hero. So my characters usually begin as anti-heroes and then discover their morality as time goes on. I try to do it that way. So a lot of my characters make mistakes. They do selfish things because people are selfish. People are selfish because they're trying to survive, or because they don't know any better, or because they're scared. So do my characters. I try to reflect humanity as much as possible in my books, because humanity is extremely fascinating. Extremely fascinating. I love psychology. I love philosophy. I love religion and morality and things like that. And just digging into that as deep as possible. And so I try to reflect that in my books, but I try not to be too complicated in my books. So if you notice, my books are only like a high school reading level. One, because my vocabulary is actually terrible. I don't have a high vocabulary because I don't care, basically. I don't feel like writers need complicated words. They just need the right words. So you don't need to write at a college level. You can get the same point across with basic elementary school English if you want. So, but I feel like there's some writers I have read, and I can tell that they love their own language. And they love their own language more than they love the story. And the idea is, when you are a writer, you're supposed to disappear. Your readers are supposed to be so engrossed in the story that they don't even know you're there. And there's some writers that just kind of fall in love with words, I guess you could say. And that's great for like poetry. I feel like poetry and kind of the classical feel, that's a great genre for that, because I love that style. But it just feels weird when I'm reading like a children's fantasy book, and I can just tell that this person is just so excited about describing things in weird poetical ways. And then I just realize, oh, here's the writer, not the story. So I think it has a place, but you have to know the place. Because I do that with some of my poetry too, I'll be honest. I kind of get engrossed in flowery words at a high school level. I don't get excited about really difficult reading. I feel like you're just kind of showing off academically. You're not, my jaw just locked, sorry, not caring enough about the story. And I take storytelling very seriously. My books are not heavy subjects, but I do think storytelling is an extremely important art. And I think even as a Christian, you'll see in the Bible the way that Jesus tells stories, and how there's lots of metaphors and symbolism. And when he talks to people, when he teaches, he uses stories. And I think the Bible is just basically God's way of using people as stories, creating stories with people. So the idea that people are stories, and humanity is a story. And I think storytelling is important just because of those things alone. There is a master storyteller. And so I love storytelling. I love storytelling. That doesn't mean I won't like read a cheap, quick book that is not deep at all. We all have those kind of guilty pleasures. Sometimes your brain is just tired. But I just don't want the art of storytelling to be lost. I think it's too important. It's way too important. So, yeah. Well, I've been here almost an hour. So, this has been fun. It's been fun having some interactions. We had more people this time, so that was good. I think we had quite a few compared to last time, but each one is great. I don't really care how many come. Anyone who comes is fantastic. So yeah, I don't think I'll have another live stream before this book comes out. So get ready for this book. It comes out the 22nd. You can buy it anywhere, everywhere. I don't know where all the pre-orders are. I know pre-orders will be on Amazon right now. I don't think it's anywhere else at the moment. My printer kind of takes care of that. I haven't seen it anywhere else, but I know once it comes out, it'll be out everywhere. My first book is already in bookstores in Korea, so I know it'll be everywhere. So you can go to your local bookstore and order it when it comes out on the 22nd, or order it off Amazon, anything you please, and get ready for that. Yeah, and that's it. So this was fun. Maybe I'll do another one before the month is up, but I do have midterms, and I haven't started studying for those yet, and they come out the same week as my book, so I have to study. Not a fan, definitely not a fan, but it's okay. It'll be good. All right, so thanks for hanging out with me. Hope to see you next time, and I'll see you later. Bye.